Before you skip this message, listen carefully. The pressure you have been feeling lately is not random. The exhaustion is not random. The confusion, the delays, the attacks on your peace, and the sudden emotional heaviness, none of it is random. The enemy only attacks people who are close to something valuable. Right now, hell is reacting to the future God is preparing for you. You thought you were falling apart, but heaven says you are actually breaking through. What if this painful season is proof that your prayers are finally being answered? There are people listening right now who have cried in silence for weeks. You are the people who smile in public while privately fighting battles nobody knows about. You are emotionally exhausted, spiritually drained, mentally overwhelmed, and physically tired. You wake up trying to stay positive, but the pressure keeps building. You pray, but sometimes it feels like heaven is silent. You try to move forward, but resistance keeps appearing from every direction. Slowly, you started asking yourself dangerous questions. Did God forget me? Why is everything becoming harder? Why do I feel attacked every time I try to grow? Why does peace disappear the moment I start believing for something bigger? Hear this clearly today. The attack increased because your breakthrough is getting closer. The enemy does not panic over ordinary people. Darkness reacts when purpose starts awakening, and hell becomes aggressive when destiny begins moving. Some of you are under heavy spiritual pressure right now because the future God prepared for you carries power, influence, healing, and transformation. The enemy sees the potential in your life even when you do not. He sees the impact your testimony will have. He sees the people your future will inspire, and he sees the chains your obedience will break in your family. Because of that, he wants to exhaust you before you arrive at your next season. That is why your mind has been under attack. That is why distractions suddenly increased, fear became louder, confusion tried to cloud your thinking, old temptations returned, and some relationships suddenly became difficult. The enemy wants to wear you down emotionally before heaven lifts you up spiritually. But God sent this message today to remind you that you are not losing, you are transitioning. There is a difference between destruction and transformation. Sometimes growth feels painful because God is removing things that cannot follow you into your next chapter. Some people had to leave your life. Some doors had to close. Some delays had to happen. And some disappointments had to teach you dependence on God instead of dependence on people. Right now, you may only see loss, confusion, and frustration, but later you will see wisdom, protection, and preparation. Joseph experienced this kind of process. God gave him dreams, but immediately after receiving the promise, his life became harder. He was betrayed by his brothers, thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and forgotten in prison. Imagine how confusing that must have felt. Imagine trying to hold on to faith while sitting in chains, wondering why obedience seemed to produce suffering instead of blessing. But what Joseph could not see in the moment was that every painful chapter was positioning him for purpose. The pit was preparation. The prison was preparation. The betrayal was preparation. Somebody listening today needs to understand this. Your current season is preparation too. You think you are being buried, but God is planting you. You think life is ending, but God is rebuilding you from the inside out. Seeds disappear underground before they grow. Some of you are in hidden seasons right now, feeling overlooked, forgotten, invisible, and delayed. But hidden seasons are often holy seasons. Jesus spent years hidden before his public ministry. David spent years in fields before becoming king. Moses spent years in the wilderness before leading nations. Just because people do not see your growth does not mean heaven stopped working on you. God develops people privately before elevating them publicly. The reason this season feels so intense is because your next season requires a stronger version of you. The blessing you prayed for needs maturity. The doors you asked for require wisdom. The assignment attached to your future needs endurance. That is why God has been stretching you emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and financially. Stretching creates capacity. He has made everything beautiful in its time. Ecclesiastes 3:11. Some prayers take longer because preparation takes time. If God released certain blessings too early, they would crush you instead of helping you. Stop confusing delay with denial. God operates on His time, not yours, and even when His timing frustrates you, it is still perfect. There are moments when God protects you through delay. You cried over opportunities that secretly would have destroyed your peace. You begged for relationships that were connected to heartbreak. You became frustrated over closed doors that were actually protecting your destiny. One day you will thank God for the prayers He answered slowly. Right now, your emotions cannot fully understand what heaven is doing behind the scenes. But while you are worrying, heaven is working. Angels are moving, divine connections are forming, doors are opening quietly, and favor is locating your name. The spiritual realm shifted before the physical realm could reflect it. That is why faith matters. Faith means trusting God before evidence appears. Faith means believing while waiting and standing when everything around you says quit. Somebody listening right now has been very close to giving up. You are tired of carrying responsibility, surviving, pretending to be okay, and fighting thoughts nobody else hears. Some nights you cried yourself to sleep, and some days your mind became so heavy that even simple tasks felt difficult. But God says, hold your ground. Do not surrender now. You are too close to your breakthrough to quit in the middle of the process. The enemy wants exhaustion to produce surrender because he knows what happens if you keep going. If you keep praying, believing, and obeying God despite the pressure, your life is going to enter a season the enemy cannot stop. This breakthrough is not just about money, relationships, or opportunities. This is about transformation. God is changing the way you think, the way you see yourself, the way you handle pressure, and the way you depend on Him. The old version of you could not carry the future God prepared for you. Romans chapter 5 teaches that suffering produces perseverance, perseverance produces character, and character produces hope. You are not weak because you feel tired. Even Jesus became weary during His earthly journey. He experienced betrayal, rejection, loneliness, temptation, and suffering. The cross looked like defeat before the resurrection revealed victory. Some of you are standing between Friday and Sunday right now. You are in the painful middle part of the story, but resurrection is still coming. Your peace, your joy, your confidence, and your hunger for life are coming back. This storm is temporary. Storms always feel permanent while you are inside them, but eventually the rain stops, the clouds move, and light returns. One day you are going to look back at this painful season and realize God was carrying you the entire time. You survived things that should have destroyed you. You are still breathing, still trying, and still praying. That is not luck, that is grace. The enemy often attacks hardest right before the breakthrough arrives. Think about the Israelites standing at the edge of the Red Sea. Behind them was Pharaoh, in front of them was impossible water, and everything looked hopeless. But what looked like disaster became the setup for one of the greatest miracles in history. Somebody listening right now feels trapped exactly like that. God specializes in making paths where none exist. That is why you cannot allow fear to dominate your thoughts anymore. Fear magnifies problems, faith magnifies God. The atmosphere around your life changes when you start praising God before the breakthrough arrives. Praise confuses darkness. Gratitude shifts your perspective. Worship reminds your soul who is truly in control. Paul and Silas praised God inside prison before the chains broke off. Joshua praised before the walls fell. There is power in praise. Even when emotions feel weak, circumstances look ugly, and answers delay, praise anyway. Praise is faith speaking before results appear. Somebody listening right now has been carrying guilt, shame, and regret from past mistakes. You think your failures disqualified you, but look throughout Scripture. God repeatedly used broken, imperfect people. Moses struggled with insecurity. David made serious mistakes. Peter denied Jesus. Paul persecuted Christians before becoming an apostle. God specializes in redemption. Your past may explain you, but it does not define your future. There are people listening who feel spiritually numb. Temporary spiritual exhaustion does not mean God left you. David cried out asking God where he was. Elijah became so emotionally overwhelmed he wanted to give up. God is not afraid of your honesty. Bring your exhaustion, your confusion, and your fear to Him. You do not need perfect faith for God to move in your life. Weak faith reaching toward God is still faith. If all you can do today is whisper one exhausted prayer, heaven still hears you. The dawn is breaking, invisible growth is happening inside you. Roots grow underground before trees rise above ground. Your roots are becoming deeper spiritually, which means your future stability will become stronger too. What the enemy meant for destruction, God is already using for development. He can turn pain into purpose, brokenness into strength, loss into wisdom, and suffering into a testimony. Your survival matters. Your family needs your breakthrough. Your future children need your obedience. Do not surrender now. You have already survived too much to quit at this stage. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Psalm 30:5 Morning is coming into your life. The darkness will not last forever. God is restoring your vision, your confidence, and your peace. One day, the same people who watched you struggle will witness God's favor over your life, not for your ego, but for His glory. Your story will become proof that God still restores broken people. This is not where your story ends. You survived every attack that was supposed to destroy you. You are still standing because God is still working. The enemy wanted you broken, depressed, hopeless, and silent. Instead, you are about to walk into the greatest season of your life. Doors are opening. Chains are breaking. Restoration is coming. Hold on a little longer. Your breakthrough is closer than you think.